give people a chance to come in. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, this is Brooke-Sidney. I am the Bella of Bella and the Babe, and tonight we are talking all about. Hi, G. Henry, thank you for joining. Hi, Kate Clark, thank you. Hi, Stina, welcome. Tonight we are talking about the Conscious Parent book. This is an amazing book by Dr. Shefali Sabari. It was actually featured on Oprah. Like, Oprah has raved about this book. And so I decided to, yay. I've been thinking about that one. Yes, Stina, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's really a great book. You've jumped in at the perfect time. We're really only on chapter 3. And all of my scopes on the book are actually stored on my website, and my website is bellaandthebabe.com. And if you go to bellaandthebabe.com /mama-reads, all of the archive videos are there. And then there's also an excellent Facebook group where we're discussing these items more in depth, because the items that we talk about on the scope tonight, we'll definitely be able to discuss like some of the main points, but really to get more discussion from you all out there and to really dive deeper into these topics, it really warrants a really good group. And it's great when mamas especially can talk about all this great stuff with each other. So again, for those of you that are just joining, hi, my name is Brooke-Sidney. I'm the owner of the site and company called Bella and the Babe, and it's all about empowering authentic motherhood. And I do this through providing tools, resources, information, courses, and expert interviews that really highlight resources for mothers and mothers-to-be, and I like to call them mamas. So I don't want to waste time, because I know everyone out there, it's late, especially on the East Coast. I had hoped to get on earlier, but as you all know, with having children, the day is not your own. So let's get started. I had 5 really key points and then kind of a bonus point that I thought was really important to draw out from the chapter 3. And chapter 3's title, which is kind of the first point, is that we want to release our children from the need of our approval. And that, I think, is a really critical point, and a point that a lot of parents don't actually think about, but that even when we're actually giving praise to our children, it's tied to approval. Like, what we think of as great, even when we say, and I am guilty of doing this, I will say, great job. Hi, Karen Lee Garcia. Thanks so much for joining. I'm so guilty of this, of saying, great job. And I'm really just, showing my approval. Thanks, Jay Terrell, for joining, to them. And what she is saying is that without our realizing it, we bind our children to us by tying them to approval, and then making them a slave of our judgments. And so we either constantly starve our children of approval, or we cause them to become dependent on it. So she's saying we need to free ourselves from the illusion of placing all of this approval, but also free our children. And honestly, thank you, Keeping Up with Christ, joining. Thank you, Be Free Project. Thank you so much for joining. So basically, what the key point here is that I know at first glance it sounds like, hi, thanks, Be Free. Hello, welcome, welcome. Thanks, Tina Brown, for inviting followers. Thank you so much. At first glance, you're thinking, whoa, no big deal. I'm just praising my child. It's no big deal. But it really actually hooks our children into this approval cycle. And although it may not seem at first glance to be a big deal, our children can become dependent upon it and not develop their own sense of self-worth and self-value, completely independent of process, and completely independent of outcome or approval from someone else. And it's honestly, this concept is not just Dr. Shefali's. And for those of you that are joining us, we're talking about the conscious parent, and we're actually on chapter 3. So thank you so much for joining. But this this concept of not making our children approval and praise junkies is a really it's a really important topic right now in parenting philosophies. If you read Unconditional Parenting, yeah, Be Free Project. Yeah, this is a great book. It was featured on Oprah. Oprah actually had the author on. Marie Forleo recently, she also had Dr. Shefali on her show, because even if you aren't a parent, it has really great topics in it that really stretch us. So, so the first one, to recap, is that we want to release our children from the need for your approval. Oh, great. Thank you, Stina. I'm glad you'll be watching the replay and checking out our group. Yay. Oh, I know. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. I know it's really late for the East Coast folks. I was hoping to jump on earlier. But anyway, so the first point was basically that we want to release our children from the need for our approval. And basically what we're doing is we're freeing them to be themselves without us always praising them or seeking some kind of approval for an outcome that they have. We want to basically not endorse our children for their actions, but rather just for their being, for being themselves, for being who they are at their essence, and not for doing anything, proving anything, or accomplishing anything. I think that is just an awesome point. We just want to let our children know that they're accepted for who they are. Oh yeah, that's good. Thanks, Subhan. Thank you so much for commenting. I'd love to hear more comments. So anyway, she says the benefit of doing this is that children grow up with an internal sense of rightness and become adults who carry the imprint of inner connection and consequently emotional sturdiness. Oh, Siobhan. Oh, it's pronounced Siobhan. Oh, great. Oh, perfect. Because I was not sure how to pronounce it, and I apologize for mispronouncing it. So thank you so much, Siobhan, for letting me know how to say it correctly. I get it all the time. Totally. So basically, this is a key point. We want to release our children from the need for our approval, and so they can learn to develop their own intrinsic approving of themselves. So the second point, because I don't want to keep you guys on here all night, mamas have to sleep. Acceptance is key. And what that means is accepting our children, again, for who they are. We want to accept them in the state. Oh, great. So agree. Yeah, great, Karen. Totally. We want to accept our children in their state as is. And the tough part is that requires us to stop being stuck in the ideas of who our children should be, and basically working to understand who they are right now. I know, and she was like, one of the great things that she says is that accepting our children enables us to raise them. I know I need to work on it. We all do, Siobhan. Accepting our children enables us to raise them without judgment, dealing with them from a neutral state, responding to them as they need to be responded to, instead of a manner reflective of our past conditions, and it requires unequivocal surrender to the wisdom of who they are yet to become, and what they can teach us about ourselves in the process. I thought that was so powerful, because basically when we accept our children and we raise them without judgment, we're not putting our ideas, our expectations, and our junk on them. I needed to hear this on Monday. Oh, Karen, I need to hear this every day, because I'm so trying to learn it and live it. It's a constant. That was part of chapter 2, is becoming conscious is an ongoing process. It's not wait, I get it, I'm there, and you stay there. It's continuing to learn, expand, and grow. Take 2 steps forward, maybe 1 step backwards, and kind of readjust. And then, it's just continuing to be in the process. So I think the second point, just to kind of recap, is that acceptance is key. Yeah, it's such an ongoing journey. Totally, Siobhan. So the third point is acceptance is not passive. And what she's saying here is that when we accept our children, it's not just an intellectual decision. Yes, our children can change constantly. Karen, you are totally on it. That's the bonus. What I kind of drew out of her chapter 3 is the bonus thing. And I guess I can just skip to that. I can skip to that. Basically, it's that accepting our children as they are evolving. Like, we don't really think about it, but our children today are not the same person, even at their core, that they may be like in 2 years. My son is almost 2 years old, and when he was born, he was a very, what I thought, like, I had labeled him this quiet spirit, this quiet, gentle spirit, this quiet, serious, determined spirit. And now, like, less than 2 years later, he is playful, he's funny, he's loud, he's hilarious. He can be like, he loves to play games and stuff. Like, he's not that quiet child that I had, adjusted myself to. So now it's like a readjustment. And that's what she's kind of saying, is that, yeah, they get louder. Oh my gosh, Karen, they totally have gotten louder. And he is still, learning words. So he's only going to get louder and louder. But like, it's so true that our children are constantly evolving, as should we, right? And so, she says that to break free of stereotyping, we would need to truly enter the present and respond to your children with complete openness. And she challenges us to ask ourselves, do I really know who my child is? Can I create the space within myself to know my child each new day, one day to the next? And to do this would be requiring ourselves to be silent and in your child's present and be free from all expectations. And I love that, because I think that is a challenge. I think that's a challenge in all of our relationships, just not even in our relationship with our child, but really to understand that, like, everyone is evolving, and that we would benefit ourselves and these relationships by being present and then continually trying to understand who they are and adapt as necessary. So that was like the bonus that Karen helped bring out. That was like the bonus thing that I got out of this chapter. So kind of going back to 3 really quickly, and 3 is short, and that's acceptance is not passive. One of the critiques of Dr. Shefali's work, especially by traditional parents, is that they see this work as being, in philosophy, as being like passive. Like, you're just a pushover parent, you're permissive. We discussed this in the last book club session, the last Periscope, about it. And it really isn't. Like, accepting obviously requires you to be like very active, very involved with our heart and our mind. Like, because we need to constantly like stay in touch with who we are, who they are, make adjustments. It's anything, I think, but passive. And I definitely don't think that it's permissive. It is, however, challenging. So anyway, so number 4 is don't parent with a cookie cutter approach. And I think that this one kind of makes sense. I mean, it's basically that you want to respect your individual child's journey, who they are. You want to nurture their inner voice. She even says, once you accept your child's basic nature, you then kind of contour your style to meet their temperament. And I love the example that she gave in the book of herself and her daughter. And she talked about how, like, she was this gentle, like, people-pleasing daughter, and, more quiet and creative and dreamy. And she said that her daughter is none of that. And her daughter's like stubborn and like smart and crafty, and totally, like, sometimes before she accepted it, 2 steps ahead of her, because she was still in the mode of, I want this quiet, silent, dreamy, creative, almost even passive child, which was what she was like when she was a child. So I love Dr. Shefali's example of that. But she was like, basically, once she accepted who her child was, like, they now have a much better relationship, because she kind of rose to meet her child where her child was. So then the 5th one, and this will be does she have a chapter about couples with different parenting strategies? I will have to get back to you on that. Let me see. Let me look. Let me scan. I know she gives so many, let me see. Let's see. I don't think she has a chapter. Like, I was like trying to remember. She does not, I don't think, have a chapter specifically on that. However, she does give different examples that touch upon some of those issues. It's not in this chapter yet, but Karen, if you email me, or feel free to join the group. There's a group that I've created on Facebook. Oh, I agree. I totally agree. You said me and my husband have the same goal, but a different approach. Yeah, totally, totally. And, she actually gives an example in this chapter. It's not the same thing, but she kind of walks through how the more, hi, ER Spalding, thank you for joining, the more that we are aware of what we're bringing to the relationship and with our child and with our spouse or co-partner, the better it is. And I think a lot of people, like Karen, you already are like 90% there, because like you and your husband probably recognize this and you have similar goals. And even we talked about in chapter 2, a lot of people develop like parenting missions and philosophies. Like, she really encourages doing that. And if you both are growing and transforming as individuals and kind of open to that and have the same goals, I'm sure that will help navigate like a lot of it, because most of the times a lot of the issues occur, especially the examples that she gives, because she's really good at giving great like real world examples that she encountered. Most of the challenges are when people aren't aware that they are parenting unconsciously, and they're bringing their hurt selves, their wounds, their baggage, their limiting beliefs to their relationships with their children and their spouse or their co-parenting partner, and they don't know it. And so that's where a lot of the problems can come in. So, but I will look for that, because that's an awesome thing, and I will note that, and I will bring it up in our next Periscope book club, because that's awesome. I'll see, and if not, I'll see if I can pull out some chapters or some parts of the book that yay Karen, yes, download it. It's awesome. So one of the things, like I talked about last week, is that there has been like resistance to the book, which I think is super interesting, especially like by people that have a more traditional parenting philosophy. This book kind of turns it on its head. I mean, she says basically that the top-down approach, A, is not very relational, and B, our children come here with a purpose, and part of that purpose is to help us clean up our stuff. It's to help us transform. It's to help us have a spiritual transformation, a journey with them, right? And we can let them lead us, and that does not mean that we're being pushovers or that we are being permissive or that there's no discipline. It's just a different way of looking at things. And even if the concepts, I find, like at first time, sometimes I read them, I'm like, what, but what it does is it makes you stretch. I feel like even if you don't agree with them, it then makes you think to yourself, oh, well, what do I agree with? Or what is my parenting philosophy? Or how would I have handled that situation? Even if I don't agree with how Dr. Shafali recommended it. And all of those are steps in the right direction to figuring out how we parent, and it's more conscious parenting. So just to do a quick recap, because it's getting late and I do hear my child, and I don't want him to interrupt this scope. So the first thing that was really talked about was release our children from the need of our approval. So key. Basically, you just love them as they are and accept them as they are. And that kind of leads into point number 2, and that's acceptance is key. So we want to accept our children as they are. We want to basically give them a space to be who they are, and then meet them where they are in that space. And then the third point is acceptance is not passive. It's actually a very active thing that involves our mind and our heart, and being diligent with understanding where we are, looking at ourselves, looking at who they are. And then 4 is kind of an obvious one, but it's don't parent with a cookie cutter approach. Thank you so much, E.R. Spalding, for sharing this. 4 is don't parent with a cookie cutter approach. And that makes sense. Like if we are looking at our children as individuals, respecting who they are, accepting who they are, just how we would want ourselves to be respected and accepted, then we're going to try to parent from that place. And that's going to be individual to each child. And I think that that's so key. And then the 5th point was you will only accept your child to the degree, I don't know if I talked about this, but oh my gosh, I think I skipped it. You will only accept your child to the degree you accept yourself. And basically that's the key. It's like our children are here to bring out things that we need to heal. And so if you as a parent did not accept yourself, or you did not feel accepted or loved or respected even, it's going to be really, really hard for us if you're in that place to accept your child that way or to treat your child that way. So I love that point. And she says that accepting our children for who they are brings with it another component. It's accepting the kind of parent we need to be for our particular child. And she even gives a great list on page 35 of learning how to accept yourself. And it's pretty awesome. She goes through and she lists ways in which you could think about accepting yourself. Like, I accept that at times I say and do the wrong things with my child. Hello. I accept that at times I'm too tired to be sane. And these are the ones that have, I know, I gotta check on Babe. Oh, good night, Karen. Thanks so much for joining. I accept my imperfections and my imperfect life. These are some great examples of the way that we can accept ourselves. So, and then the bonus one that I had discussed and that Karen actually had helped bring up was that accepting the fact that our children are always evolving and that we must evolve as well to meet them where they are. So thank you so much for listening. I'm so glad that you all tuned in. Again, my name's Brooke-Sidney. My site is Bella and the Babe. I am an authentic and conscious mothering guide, and I would love for you all to join us here again for the next scope on it. And if you want more information, check out my site. There's a Mama Read section that gives the information on the book and how you can join our Facebook group where we're diving in deep on all these topics. So again, thank you so much. I hope you have a great night. Talk to you later. Love and light.